Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Floodlights Camera Action. From Mo Salah to Thalia Saleh, we look to bridge a gap between film and football and tell you exactly what films you should be watching and what ones to avoid. I'm Jack, but a podcast is only as good as its co-host. Every week, I'm joined with my good friend Weronika to work through the do's and don'ts of film watching. Veronica, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you, Jack?
Oh, I'm on cloud nine. Portsmouth have confirmed their safety in the Championship for another year. South Coast derbies next year. Everyone's loving life. Everyone's having a lovely time. But we are joined this week by another guest from Picture House Create, the wonderful Thalia Saleh. Thalia, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys? It's so great to be here.
I'm, as I said, brilliant. Um, as I said, we met at the Create event. Was it 2 weeks ago? 2 and a bit weeks ago, something like that.
Yeah, time flies.
Yeah, very quickly. We met at the closing party. How was that experience of being, going off stage after screening a frankly amazing documentary, and then being swarmed by strangers with nothing but compliments, adoration, and questions? How's that?
Honestly, it was surreal. Like, it was honestly better than I ever imagined. Everyone was so kind to us, and people came up to me and just said genuinely the nicest things ever. Everyone loved it. And I don't know, it felt really overwhelming to be in a room with so many talented individuals, as you guys know. Like, you spoke to a bunch of them, but everyone was so talented, and being in the same room as them and even sharing a stage was just surreal. Like I said, it was unbelievable. But yeah, it was amazing being swarmed with compliments and questions about Hunt. And I'm just so happy everyone loved it as much as we loved making it.
Yeah, I'd say most of the people on that stage were talented. Yeah, I'd agree with you on that.
There was a really talented dog as well, like not just people, I must add.
Yeah, definitely.
I
Animals.
think the dog, I think maybe surpasses your level of talent. No offense, but the
Yeah,
dog is a pretty good actor. That's what I'm saying.
that dog was an incredible actor, I will say.
But you said that you loved all the films, I assume. But which one did you vote for? Did you vote for yourself?
No, well, yes, I did
You
vote for
did.
myself. Uh,
No, but yes.
no, but my favorite film was High from a Mayfly. Yeah, Hello from a Mayfly. I think that was so good. It was amazing. I really, really loved that film, and I just thought it was so, like it was so powerful and authentic, and it just takes you on like this emotional journey, and it was so good. I loved it.
We love that short film on this podcast as well. I know Jack, I think, voted for it. Pretty sure.
No, 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 no. I voted for Hunt, as can be seen. Well,
Oh
it should
my
have
Oh
been
god!
seen.
wow. Yeah.
There we have
Okay.
it, guys.
I'm a number one
I'm
Game
not
Hunt
gonna
game.
mention
voter.
what I voted for actually.
We had Charlotte Capitelli of High from Mayflower on the podcast last week, and she was
Yeah,
great
I
as well.
listened to that. That was great.
Oh,
Oh god.
thank you for hopefully enjoying it. That's where you go. Actually, I listened to it. It was terrible. It
No, it
shouldn't
was
have been made.
really good, but it was just you, Jack, wasn't it?
Yeah, Veronica
Yeah.
met Alex Garland, so it was just me. I was holding down the fort for once.
I
I
haven't
think
looked
it
at the
was
stats
great.
on that one. I might have to have a look if the views dropped or not.
It didn't drop.
Oh wow, that
Suddenly
hurts.
Yeah,
lost like 100 subscribers.
yeah, 100 is yeah. We had an episode we did around Christmas where it was just me, and it was like our views were like kind of steady, and then it was just my episode. It was like
Yeah, so it was
oh
Charlotte this time that made it stay.
yeah, it wasn't me. Veronica's very much the draw of this podcast. You mentioned Hunt there, obviously the one I voted for because it was the best. Can you tell us a bit more about it, for those who haven't seen it, and is it available to watch anywhere, or where will it be available to
Yeah,
watch? Hopefully.
I'd love to talk about Hunt. So Hunt is a short documentary I directed alongside an incredible team, about the son of James Hunt, who's a 1976 Formula One world champion. His son Freddie is just battling with the weight of legacy, his bond with nature, and just trying to find a place to call home. And that kind of sums it up without spoiling it. And yeah, it's a story that means a lot to me because I feel like not just me, but many people I know resonate with it. But I just think it's such a beautiful story that talks about, carrying a name that's so well known and just having that weight and being expected to follow in your father's footsteps when maybe that's not your calling and maybe you're meant to do other things. So it's slowly finding a journey to defy those predefined terms and live on your own standards and terms. And it's not available to view yet because we're still doing a festival run, but as soon as it is, I shall let you know.
And we will promote the living hell out of it for you. So
Yeah.
it's a joint effort.
I actually wanted to ask, because, well, I didn't want to ask, I just wanted to say that I didn't know who he was, actually, watching the documentary, so that's basically how I found out who he was. And then
Did you
Jack
still
told me
enjoy it?
afterwards who that was, and that his dad was famous or whatever. Well, actually, no, it's in the documentary, but yeah, I
Oh,
had
If
no
you didn't
idea
get
that
that
was.
from the documentary,
Yeah, sorry. I actually like closed my eyes halfway through.
did you just fall
No.
asleep?
Yeah, well, no,
it's
I
quite
didn't. I
short as
didn't.
well, so it's quite impressive that you've fallen asleep that quickly.
Yeah, it's great timing. Less than
Yeah, well,
15 minutes.
Jack thought it was a truffle farm or something. What did you
Well,
say?
A
so
truffle farm.
I'm trying not to spoil it too much. I knew nothing about it going into it apart from the title, obviously, and it opened with
Steve.
this frankly quite posh man with a pig. I was like, what on earth is this about? Are they going truffle farming? You know, what's going on here? And then it clicked for me. Yeah, I just thought it was magnificent. I thought it was so. Um, the fact it was what 15 minutes did you say roughly?
Yeah.
I think you pack in a lot, and it never feels like it overstretched itself. It's yeah, I thought it was magnificent to be honest.
Yeah, no, the
Thank you so
pacing was
much.
great, and I mean the editing was really good as well. Obviously, the
Yeah.
directing.
We
Um,
have a very honestly talented team, like our editor, Ed Shaw, and then our DOP, 10 out of 10, and drone operator, Charlie Ord. Our producer was incredible. We couldn't have done anything without him, really, David Merritt. And then our sound designer, who also did such a great job, Alex Ware. They're all so talented, and I just feel so lucky to be part of, that group of 5 people, plus our executive producer, Lorianne Hall, behind the scenes, but she is like the rock behind our team.
yeah, I think we learned quite a lot about all the different roles when we were at Create, and producer seems to do quite a lot without getting much out of it. So yeah, we love producers on this
Yeah, I
podcast,
felt
as we
bad for
say
those.
every week.
Felt bad for those producers. They did like a panel show.
They just were
It was like,
complaining about how hard
"Ooh."
their life is the whole time, and how they don't make any money, pretty
Yeah,
much, which
Oh,
is quite sad.
it's a
I hope
tough
that
gig to be a
changes.
producer.
Mm.
No, yeah, but ours honestly was so good. We're very lucky. Everyone was so passionate about the project, which led to it being what it is today. But actually, the voice of the person asking the questions in the documentary is our producer. Fun fact.
Yeah, I was actually wondering that,
There
like
you go.
genuinely, because afterwards, because I thought it was the director, and then I just didn't think your voice matched what the documentary voice was,
Yeah,
so I
I
did
totally
She's just a
wonder.
really good impressionist.
Yeah.
No, that
But
was Dave.
if you were to make another sports documentary, I don't know if that's kind of your niche in terms of what you want to make, but if you were to make another one, what sports person would you make it around?
Great question. I love that question. And I have so many answers, so I'm not going to pick one if that's okay. I'm going to give a run through of a few. So I would say um, 2 people I'd love to make a documentary about are so there's Hamda Al Kubaisi, who is in Formula One Academy, and Bianca Bustamante, who's also in F1 Academy. So Bianca is from the Philippines and she drives for McLaren in Formula One Academy. And Hamda is from the UAE, which makes her an Arab, you know, motorsport female driver. And it's just so inspiring to see everything that's changing in the sport and how it's becoming accessible to everyone and how, these girls are making history. But besides that, I would say Ons Jabeur, the tennis player, who again also making history in tennis for sure. I mean, I remember watching her on screen when she was playing Wimbledon, and it was just so. It felt so great because when you see someone who's an Arab woman like myself, just being on top of her sport, it just really inspires you, and I think all these women have incredible stories to tell.
Now, as we said there, or there previously, there are so many roles within filmmaking, editors, producers, writers, etc., etc. Why directing? What drew you to that?
um, to be honest, I think it's because directing matches everything I stand for. It blends authenticity with emotion, and I'm someone who has so much to say, but with directing, it allows me to have a vision and pursue it slowly while working with many people, which is what I love the most. It's collaborating and making people feel safe on set and vulnerable enough to share moments with you. And it's also my favorite part about directing is how sometimes everything can change in one second, especially with documentaries when you don't know what to expect from an answer or from a location or from the setting you're in. And it's being prepared to, face the unexpected and craft a story through that. And directing is just incredible for me because it allows you to work through all phases of production. You prep before filming and then even after filming and doing everything you need to do on set. In post, you have to work with the editor to work on the flow of the story and how it's going to go, because when you have hours and hours and hours of footage, you have to put the story together. It's like a puzzle, like all the pieces are just like scattered and you have to make a story out of it. And yeah, that's why I love being a director. It's the people, the process, and the emotion that comes with it, and that it allows you to just tell a story, really. And being at the forefront of that with an amazing team is what inspired me the most.
Also, it's pretty cool to call yourself a director. That's got to be a factor as well.
So it's 100%.
You should use DR, like, just put a DR in front of your name. And when someone asks if it's doctor, just say no. Actually,
No,
Just
director.
just nod. Yeah. It's something.
Yeah.
It's something. Starts with a D.
But I wanted to ask, because you said that you like the fact that something unexpected might happen on set, and then you have to kind of find a solution to the problem or move around it. Did anything like that happen when making Hunt?
Oh yeah. Actually, from the moment we set foot in Scotland, which is where it was filmed, we were getting on this ferry to go on the island, and where the documentary was actually filmed. And we were initially going to film a scene in the ferry with Freddie, but because of time issues and because we were coming all the way from York, we weren't able to do that. And so that kind of really scared me at first, because it's like the first thing we were meant to do and we weren't able to do it. Like, imagine how stressful that is, and we only had like 4 days of shooting. So after that, I remember we were all kind of stressed. So the team and I just decided, I told them, why don't we just go to the beach, relax and bring a camera with us and we'll take a few shots. And our DOP, Charlie, took
Not
the most
alcoholic
amazing
shots,
shots that
just to
made it
reiterate.
into the film. Sorry?
I said you don't mean alcoholic shots, right?
Oh my
You
god,
didn't actually
no!
take 4
No,
shots.
we
Veronica, that's so irresponsible.
He brought the camera and took the best shots ever of the scenery. Footage, let me say, not shots. He took the best footage of the scenery, and those shots were later on used in the film. And it was just, everything happens for a reason. And it's moments like these where you realize that every bad situation has a good outcome, no matter what. Everything happens for a reason.
There's 2 weeks in a row, 2 episodes in a row where we've got ferry mentions on the podcast. So let's go for 3 next week. Lots of ferry chat recently.
Love a ferry.
Moving on to kind of your maybe personal film opinions, what are your 4 favourite films of all time? It's a very hard question, but we did tell you beforehand, so you have some time. You had some time. Okay. Yeah, 4. We're going with 4. Okay. Sue us, Letterboxd.
I'm going to do 2 films, 2 documentaries, because, I have to respect my passion.
Sure.
Yeah, of course.
So I think documentary would be Senna by Asif Kapadia. I love that documentary so much. It was actually a big inspiration for Hunt with all the archive use, and that was just such an incredible documentary. Like, there were no actual interviews filmed, and all the speaking was Senna's voice in recordings from like videos and footage that existed previously. So that's a big one. Another one would be Weekend of a Champion, both motorsport related, which is about Jackie Stewart, produced by Roman Polanski, and it's about his weekend in Monaco. And I just love that documentary. I think it's great. And then films, one of them is super basic, and then one of them is super like obscure. Mamma Mia.
Fantastic. I rewatched that recently. It's so good. It holds up.
So good. No, it's so good because that's what films are about. Sometimes you just need a good laugh, a sing-along, a karaoke session. You're good to go. And then the last film I'd say is West Beirut by Ziad Douairi, which is a Lebanese Oscar-nominated director who I like very much. And yeah, those are my top four.
That's probably my favorite top 4/3 we've had so far because I think that's. I don't think we've done much documentary chat on the
Jack, you
podcast. I
say that
remember
every single week. You need to stop doing that.
I'm just a sycophant for our guest. Now maybe you loved it, maybe you hated it. What is the most recent film or documentary that you've watched, and what did you think about it?
Not a documentary, but I did watch Flow, which won an Oscar. What a film. I love it so much.
Deservedly won an Oscar.
Honestly, 100%. It was incredible. The way that it captures your attention, and it made me cry, and there's no audio. There's no well, there is audio. There's no dialogue. Like, it made me cry purely because of the story and, the sound design. And it was made using Blender as well, which is so incredible. And I'm sure we're going to talk about this later, but it kind of blends in with what I'm studying now with AI and stuff. So it's like crazy how technology is progressing and it's allowing us to create things as powerful as Flow. I'm so just fascinated by that film. I think it was so good and it definitely deserved the Oscar.
Now, you mentioned your top four and some directors that you really love. Is there a specific one that you remember maybe growing up that sparked your love for filmmaking or a film?
Yeah, 100%. It would be Nadine Lebaki, who made Capernaum, which a lot of people have seen, because it also got Oscar nominated. But she always inspired me because it was the first director I grew up watching that was from Lebanon like me. And it was so inspiring seeing someone from literally one of the smallest countries in the world being recognized and seeing how talented she is and bringing stories to life. And that's kind of what inspired me to get into documentaries, even though she does fiction, but it's because she's never scared of blending her culture and heritage and what she stands for into her films. So it really inspired me to do what I'm doing today. So it would definitely be her.
Now, sticking with those kind of early inspirations, what were your formative film watching memories? Maybe it was a trip to the cinema when you were a kid, or something you had on repeat when you were a child.
It would definitely be sitting every Friday night. I'd sit with my mom and dad and my brother, and we'd just watch a movie. Growing up, like almost every single Friday night, it would be that, and my dad would definitely pick films he loved, like Rocky. And then we'd watch like old plays, by like Ziad Rahbani, which is a very, very talented um, writer, director slash singer in Lebanon. And we'd watch like so many just iconic films and plays and movies, but also some really cringe Hallmark movies on Netflix, which I love, I will say.
There's a place for those kind of films. They should be
Yeah, there
shunned.
is.
They should be accepted. They should be allowed in.
There is. I completely agree. Yeah, and those definitely shaped my love for films because I realized how storytelling can have so many forms and could come in so many different ways, and it could still speak to an audience. And we always loved it. And I think it's that fact of sitting together and sharing a special moment through cinema and movies which made me love it so much.
Yeah, I completely agree. And kind of maybe sticking to the topic of memories, do you have a favorite film related item that you own? Maybe a Blu ray, autograph, photo, anything?
Jack, the ferry count is going up to 4
Four.
because
Ooh.
You have a
um,
ferry.
my favorite.
Yeah, I own a
I,
ferry.
I don't know if it's I don't know if it's
Yeah, that's the
selfish
one
to
they
say
were
it's
actually going to
from.
film on.
I don't know if it's selfish to say it's from my own film, but it's from Hunt and it's all the ferry tickets.
I love that.
Oh wow, okay. You
Yeah,
should get that framed or something.
yeah, planning on it. Like
Send
making
one
a
to Charlotte
poster.
Capitelli. She'll be giddy with that.
I love that. No, yeah, that's my favorite item because it reminds me of the beginning, and it actually reminds me of what I said earlier about how everything happens for a reason. So every bad situation has a good outcome, no matter what. Like, this is proof that, I don't know. It's just proof that good things happen, and I'm very lucky to be part of Hunt and part of such a talented team.
Also, sometimes it's like not always a really flashy big ticket items. Well, I didn't mean that pun there, but it's sometimes it's it's those really like small things, right? Like a ferry ticket, maybe a smaller big ticket item, if you will.
100%. Yeah, I completely agree. Like, I wish I had like Michael Schumacher's autograph, but
Yeah, that'd be all right as well. Yeah,
That'd
I'll trade
probably
you
be
one
much
ferry
better.
ticket.
Yeah. Actually, can we redo that bit and you just lie and say that you have Michael Schumacher's autograph? That would be
I'd
great.
love that. I actually have a Michael Schumacher cap. My dad collects um, caps. He has one that was actually worn by Michael Schumacher, and he has like a collection of F1 caps. Yeah, fun fact.
That's really cool.
Can I ask? Obviously linking back to Hunt, what do you think of the film Rush? I assume you've seen it.
Yeah, definitely. I loved Rush when it came out. I really really liked it, and it's crazy because so many people ask us about it when after they see Hunt, but then after doing Hunt, I kind of understood why Freddie himself didn't like Rush because it portrayed his dad in a very specific way, and yeah, it's one of those things where once you talk to the person that's directly involved with these stories, you see it in a whole different perspective. So I do think it's a great film, but yeah, I feel like there's different sides to every story, and it's very important to always. This is why I love documentaries because you get a very like raw, vulnerable, authentic portrayal of a story, and yeah, it's really I love the idea of like comparing both of them. So I'm glad you asked that question.
I completely agree. When I work with footballers individually, there's so much narrative in the media, right? And I like the film Rush as well, but yes, there's definitely an angle to that film. Some,
Hundred
as
percent.
you say, but with a documentary, as most of the time anyway, it's more of a raw picture of what life actually is like. Yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
And we know that you're a massive F1 fan. Obviously, you've mentioned it quite a bit.
Just a
If
bit.
you were the owner of an F1 team and you had to pick two drivers from the current grid to drive for you, who would you pick? And what colour
Hmm.
would your car be?
I'd have to
and
say
what's
red
good? What's
because.
good is that you've got an unlimited budget, so you don't have to pick a pay driver. So you're all right. You
Yeah,
can pick anyone. Talent
Oh, okay.
only.
Wait. The driver on the grid right now, right?
yeah.
Got it. Um, this is a really tough question because my heart wants to stick with Ferrari because that's who I support through and through. But I will say the car will be red to represent my love for Ferrari, but
And Liverpool Football Club. Yeah.
or Arsenal. Um,
No.
no, and I would pick Oscar Piastri because I think he has a lot of potential. A lot. Like I think he's such a talented driver. Um, I would pick a rookie, but I think if I had like ultimate budget, it'd be like Oscar and Charles. I think Charles Leclerc because I think yeah they'd make a great team. Charles is obviously very talented as well. I think he's got a few world championships in him. Hopefully this year. I know it's not off to a great start, but you know what? We got P3.
It's a long season. It's a long season.
It's a long season, and it's only the beginning.
I used to love F1, and then I got a job that I had to work Sunday morning, so I've not watched it properly in years. I used to love Pierre Gasly. Can I just quiz you? How's Pierre Gasly doing at the moment? Is he doing all right?
I mean, he's doing fine. Yeah,
Oh, that's
he's
my
chill.
boy. I can
Yeah, I
take
love
fine.
Jack,
I love Pierre Gasly. I love
you
him.
know
Have
what's
you
funny is
watched the
we
new
never talk
season of
about
Drive to
F1.
Survive? Not plugging here, but you
What was
should.
that? Sorry.
Yeah.
Have you watched the new season of Drive to
No,
Survive?
I honestly I've
Drive
been
to
so
Survive
checked
actually
out of it.
killed my love for F1. I'm gonna say it.
You're one of them, are you? You're
I'm
one of
just
them.
gonna say it. I'm just gonna say it, okay. Yeah, I think that's where F1 went downhill for me, and I stopped watching it.
What was that?
Drive to Survive. When
Oh,
it started coming out, I just felt like the people who started watching it were just watching it for like, oh, these drivers
the
don't like each
drivers.
other, or
Yeah.
oh, this guy, he's really hot, and I'm gonna support this team. It's like people like that just started coming out, and I just thought, oh
You know
god,
what I
you're
think? I
ruining the
think
sport.
that in every
What
sport
nonsense.
there's a side to it that comes where now that it's so popular in social media. I mean, it happens with football as well, like all these fan edits of I
I
don't know.
like all of the fan edits, by the way. So I'm not like Veronica's a
Jack
hater.
wishes he had a fan
I'm
edit.
sure you do.
I wish I,
No,
I
but
wish I
it
could
comes with
edit.
every sport, I think. It really comes with every sport, and I think you have to stick through it because it always pays off. Like honestly, with the new Drive to Survive season, there were moments where it's just really emotional, like when Daniel Ricciardo left last year. And I'm really excited for next season, actually, because with all the rookies and Isaac Hadjar, who's doing really, really good job, and Antonelli as well, it's just, I feel like you have to push past that, because I know a lot of people watch it for the reason you said, but I feel like deep down, the real reason for that documentary series is to represent the challenges of
If
it.
you started directing it, I'd watch it again.
Oh my god, okay.
Such
We've
a
got
sycophant. Such a sycophant. Um, we alluded to earlier, or you touched on it earlier. You're currently studying for a master's degree. Can you tell us about what you're studying?
Yeah, I can. So I'm studying a master's in artificial intelligence for the creative industries at the University of York. And it's really exciting because I learned coding. I can code now, which is really exciting. And yeah, it's just such an interesting course because we learn everything from creating programs to solve like technical problems that you might need help with. I'm literally doing my assignment, my dissertation, my final dissertation on how to use AI to help with documentary pre-production. So I'm creating this program that you can input a date, time, location, and it could give you, based on your prompt of what shot you want in your documentary, it could give you how it's going to look based on the actual weather, which I think is really, really cool for when you want to prepare a documentary, because that's always something you struggle with, especially in the UK with the weather. Very
Yeah,
unexpected.
I remember the June DP. I can't remember his name. It might be Greg Fraser. It might be the other one. I can't remember his name. He's kind of spoke about how unpredictable it can be with planned weather. So yeah, I don't know. It's one of them where it's like there is a line somewhere, right, in terms of when it's right, when it's wrong. And it's there's a. I feel like AI is a bit of a dirty word.
It
And
really
there,
is. It's really scary to talk
yeah,
about it in front of people, because people are always, or either like, why are you doing that? You really shouldn't be doing that. Just focus on what you love, which is documentaries. And I'm like, well, I can still love documentaries and learn about AI. And then other people are like, oh, that's so exciting. I can't wait to see what you learn and come up with. But I do want to say, I only back using AI ethically and to enhance your creativity and not steal from someone else's, if that makes sense.
yeah. I mean, I guess it's one of them where like both extremes, like the truth's always somewhere in the middle, right? I guess like with documentary making as well, it's like radical views. They're radical for reasons. Normally, the truth is somewhere in the middle. Yeah.
100%. I
Yeah, I
completely agree
think
with that.
we had quite a lot of conversations about it with other people in filmmaking, and like it, you I guess both like extremes are probably wrong. The answer is somewhere in the middle. If it
Yeah,
helps
100%.
some young filmmakers to actually make stuff, because they can do pre-production or post-production a bit cheaper, and the quality isn't affected, and things like that, then I think that it's fair to use it. But if you're
Yeah,
using it in
100%.
terms of,
Especially if it's helping something you do on your own and it's not really affecting a team
yeah,
of group of people who are, like dedicated to do a certain thing, like, I don't know, graphic designers, and you're not, I don't know, just ruining people's jobs, because that's really not
Yeah.
the point of it at all.
There's I think my concerns are very much. I think generative AI irks me. Um, Especially as you say with like graphic designers. Like there's been quite a few football clubs recently have put out graphics of, whatever, and it's like that guy's got like eight fingers and the sun is behind him, but it's shining at the front of him, and it's just like stuff like that. It's like why are you doing that? But I mean, I hope that with more research, it also is a way to optimize it in terms of the environmental impact of generative AI. I remember seeing something that was like it's going to use as much water as New Zealand by I don't know maybe 10 years time, which is like
Yep,
insane. So
that
you,
is
you kind of
insane.
hope that it kind of catches up with itself, and that by I guess by if you shun it completely and you kind of treat it as like the dirty word and like the big bad man in the corner, it's not gonna develop, right. It's got to whereas research out yourselves and others. Hopefully, it makes it more nuanced and better all around, I guess.
100%. And also, I think what's super important is having very clear rules and regulations around it. Like, I know that GDPR is working on, making a clear line of what's okay and what's not okay. And I know there are very good rules about the use of AI when it comes to children, because children's safety is a really big issue when it comes to AI. I literally did a research project about that, and it was terrifying because you know, Google Alexa is able to have a full-on conversation with a child, and that's terrifying, because where's the human connection? And if a kid gets used to that, that could affect them long term a lot. And so it's really important to always think about if what you're doing is ethical, if there are rules behind it and laws behind it, and make sure you abide by those. So yeah, definitely do it safely, ethically, and hopefully without damaging the environment.
That's the dream.
Yeah. Well, some people, I think that making art is just typing in a prompt and getting out some really shitty short film, but it's I don't
I was
agree with
trying.
that. But
I was trying to be very political with my answers. You're just like, no, I hate it. It's awful.
well, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, it's quite clear if a director like knows what they're doing with the use of AI, and actually maybe has a vision or has any ounce of creativity in their system,
No, I completely agree
to
with
make
that.
something that looks good, and you can understand kind of what they were trying to do, and that it helped them out in the process. That's fair enough. But sometimes some people just don't have any of that, and also aren't talented, and it just
Also,
comes out
like,
like shit. So
also, it's just another tool, right? Like, if you handed me
exactly.
the best camera, the best editing software, it wouldn't be good what I'd put out. Um, Whereas, you might hand someone who's really well trained in AI. I'm not the most well versed, so my terminology is probably all over the place. It's just, do you know what you're doing with it? Do you have an ethical, clear process? And ultimately, is your product good? Because
Yeah,
that's all people care about, right? Is it good? Am I good? Am I, emotions being stirred? Does it look good? Et cetera, et cetera.
100%. And like you said, it's about the technique a lot of the times, and you can always tell if, like Veronica said, if you have a vision or if you're just like playing around and seeing what you get. It's very obvious.
Like using it sort of like a gimmick just to say that, oh, this is the first ever, I don't know, AI generated film or whatever. It's like, it's a
No,
gimmick,
exactly.
but you're not actually a filmmaker or an artist.
You're just
You're just
someone.
someone
Hates gimmicks.
who worked at, I don't know, Facebook for 20 years, and you suddenly want to play around with filmmaking. But, whatever.
I love that. I love the different
Anyway,
perspectives between Jack and Veronica so much.
yeah, Veronica's speaks from the heart. I speak from, trying to be somewhat. I'm trying to toe the line and behave myself. Veronica's like the devil on my shoulder. She's like, yeah, you will slag it off. You will slag. I'm like, no, I don't want to.
What do
You
you
were
really
worse
think
than
of
me
AI,
at the
Jack?
great event.
Oh yeah, I
Actually,
was, I was, I was awful because I haven't drunk today, so I'm a bit more with it.
yeah.
But yeah,
You asked me if you could boo, and I said no.
No way.
He asked me, and I said no. This is
that,
before free beer
that
was
was a
involved.
joke. That was a
Wow.
joke.
Oh,
It was
yeah,
a, it was a,
there
Sure.
little,
was.
it's a little bit of a joke.
Mm.
Anyway, do you have a bucket list of people you want to work with? Maybe that's I'm not sure what you call it, talent subjects of documentaries, or maybe people behind the scenes. Have you got people that you really want to work with?
Yeah, I'd say people like Asif Kapadia or John Batsek. I think they're two legendary documentary makers, and I would love to work with them because I really admire their creative vision, their workflow, the way they're able to tell their stories. John Batsek actually saw Hunt, and he loved it. He really loved it. He said some really nice things about it. I can
Get in
actually,
line, mate. We're get in line. We've all done that.
he really loved it. And it's really inspiring to have people who you admire see work you've worked on and films you've worked on and think highly of it, because it really just motivates you to keep going and keep doing more. And it's the same with meeting so many people like you guys and like everyone we met at Picture House Create and the other festivals we've been to, where they come up to us and they just tell us, keep going because we love what you did. So yeah, I think these two would definitely be my top two.
And I was going to say, speaking of the future, you did not mention the future at all when you were speaking.
Trying to force a segue there.
I was trying to force a segue. I'm just going to now pretend that was the segue.
You could say that AI is the future.
Good. See,
Well,
Tanya, this is why.
not my
This is why
future.
whether you like it or not, Veronica, it is the future.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's the future of pre-production in documentaries, is what I'll tell you.
Well, speaking
There
of
we go.
pre-production
Speaking of future.
documentaries, there we go. Do you have any projects that you're working on that you can say?
Yeah, definitely have projects I'm working on. Very excited. Can't talk much about them, but when I can, I'll let you know. And no,
When
it's
will
very,
we get
very
the call to be
exciting.
involved, by the way?
Sorry.
When will we get the call up to be involved?
Oh,
We can do anything.
yeah. I'll just call you up. Be like,
We'll
hey, do
do
you
it
want
for
to work on
free.
some AI?
Yeah, I'll do it for
I'll be a
free.
runner. I'll make you a cup of tea. So
No, yeah, really exciting because there are just a few projects that I've been working on, and some of them are like very different. Some of them are short films. One of them is actually an animation that I'm working on, and alongside Lorianne Hall, who executive produced Hunt, and it's just really exciting because I feel like there's a lot that's going on, and I'm very lucky and grateful, and hopefully there's a lot more to come, and hopefully you guys will like the things I work on in the future as well.
Okay,
Veronica, do you want to see a good
that's fair.
segue?
Yeah, go on.
Talking of things you want to work on in the future, do you think it's important to have variety in what you put out, or do you, or is it one of them where you think actually no, sports docs are they're my bread and butter, it's what I'm going to pursue, or would you like you said with animation, right? It's good to have a broad toolkit, shall we say?
I think definitely when I'm 21, I'm still starting, even though documentaries and sports are my passion, like really, it's my passion and I love it. I think it's good to start off by having a toolkit and trying, various things because I'm passionate about stories at the end of the day, and any story is worth telling. Um, and so I think it's definitely good to have, like you said, a toolkit to start with because when you have that, you have a toolbox with you, you can then focus on what you want to do. And it makes you more legit, but also gives you more experience. And I think experience is never, never gone to waste. So I'm very lucky that I can start doing that right now and experimenting with different things. But I think long term, I definitely want to focus on documentaries and, human stories. I think that's what matters to me the most.
Also, I've seen so many directors and creatives that do not branch out when they're young, and then they try and do it when they're older, and it's like actually you've not got that in your toolkit at all. Whereas when you're young, like I'm 21 as well, like I've made so many mistakes over the last couple of years, but those are learning opportunities, right? And I guess
100%.
that's what it boils down to.
Yeah, I think everyone has to do that and learn from mistakes. I feel like everyone does it without realizing it, but it's
Oh
always
no,
the.
I realise it. I realise all of my mistakes, Tyler. So
That's really good because it's a great learning opportunity. But no, I genuinely think everything I've learned so much from, since I was 10. I don't want to say 3 because I probably don't remember a lot of it, but since I was 10 to now, I've definitely made mistakes and learned from them. And it's made me a better storyteller, it's made me a better person, and it just kind of leads me to the path I want to be on. And it kind of makes it clear where I want to work, what I want to do, what I want to focus on, what my passion is. So, yeah, I definitely think branching out when you're young is the way to go because if anything, you'll learn from it, move on, and take another path and focus on what you really want to do.
Talia, thank you so much for joining us. We absolutely love that. Feel free to plug whatever you want to plug, whether that's social media, projects, I know, a website, whatever. Go for it.
Well, you guys should follow me on LinkedIn. I know a lot of people hate that, but if you want to follow me on LinkedIn, go ahead,
Big on
connect with
LinkedIn.
me if you want
How
to
many
chat.
connections you rocking?
Over 500, which is a new achievement I've done.
Me too.
Very proud of that.
I think I'm close to cracking 600. Not to brag. Not to brag.
Oh
I'm
my
on
god,
like
that's really
400,
cool.
I'm not gonna lie. And I'm
It's
older than you
okay.
guys, which is
You're
quite
you're
embarrassing
so
actually.
close. You're so close to 500. But yeah, feel free to chat. And yeah, you can follow me on Instagram as well, also Thalia Saleh. And I will be having a website up very shortly, which should also be thaliasaleh.com. So I'm making it really easy for you guys. And yeah, can't wait to see what the future holds. And I'm so, so happy we got to chat today. Loved being on this podcast.
It's much quieter as well. It's not, not got booming music
Oh
and
god, yeah.
Yeah, that was intense. There was like
screams.
That was such
scary
an intense
fireworks playing in the
environment.
background. And then and then Veronica asked if I want to be on the podcast and she was going to make the speech and I was like, "Yes."
Yeah. I did have a whole speech prepared and I didn't need any of it actually. Because you're a big fan already, so
Always a fan.
yeah.
And that officially takes up to the end of Veronica, cut that. And that officially takes up to the end of another episode.
I'm not
Hope
cutting
you
any
enjoyed.
part.
Not cutting. It's just
No.
it's all staying in. Make sure to follow us on Twitter. It's at Floodlights Pod. Letterboxd. Myself is J Hankel 46. Veronica is Slowed Panda. Medium and Instagram will be in the description because I forgot the ads. Veronica, it's been a pleasure as always. Can you let people know how they can get in touch with us? Like our good friend Ben.
Yeah, our email is floodlightpod@gmail.com. Any inquiries or messages, usually
Brand deals.
from Ben, telling us to watch certain films, but anything else is welcome, always.
Thalia, thank you again.
This is Weronika editing, and I realised that I completely cut Jack off before he could do an outro. So, I can't remember what it was. It's something like, thanks for listening, and everyone keep watching, keep consuming, and join us next week for a normal episode without a guest. And then we go back into having guests because we're in the middle of booking more people. So, keep consuming, keep watching, or something.